Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show.
Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have David Williams on the line, and he's founder and CEO over at Leadership Concepts. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Adam.
All right, David. So excited to talk about Leadership Concepts and the work that you're doing there today. But before we do that, I'd like to start with our signature question. So, David, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. David, what mission matters to you?
Well, the mission that I'm focused on is trying to help people that lead financial advisors in the wealth management space, and trying to help them stay organized and stay on top of their game so that they can lead hundreds. Some of them actually have responsibility for thousands of people, and 10 and 20 offices is a typical geographic area. And so what matters is making sure that the people I work with are organized enough to be able to touch all those people the right way.
That's awesome. And so let's just dive right in. So tell us a little bit more about Leadership Concepts.
Well, in the wealth management business, you have financial advisors who manages money for an individual. And then you have a person that's their supervisor. So you have a branch manager. And then from that person, you have a division director who might run 4 states, 5 states, and all the offices in those states. And then you'd have a division director, and they may have 10 states or 12 states, and all the offices that are in those states. So what we're trying to do in Leadership Concepts is that as you get promoted and you've proven to the company that you're able to take on more responsibility, how do you go from managing one office with 10 financial advisors to all of a sudden you've got 6 offices and you have 500 financial advisors? What do you do? And how do you go about doing that? And what I will do and the way I work with people is we walk through everything you'll need to do to be effective in that role.
What is take us a little bit further down the line. It's like, what does that process look like? Like, how does that timeline work?
The way that I go about doing it is that if you hire me, I'll work with you for a year. And I'll work with you once a month for 12 months. And I take half of those months and I come to your office. And I want to see everything you do in the office. So I want to see, how are they organized? The key to all of this is organization. So they have digital files on people. Who do they have files on? How often do they go out to these other offices and visit them? And I want to understand how they kind of coordinate their day. I want to listen to them on their feet. They do strategy meetings with their office. I want to listen to those. A lot of them do weekly calls with all their managers that report to them. I want to listen to those calls and trying to get a handle on, okay, are they on top of this thing or is it on top of them? Are they running it or is it running them? And when you make a move from an office of, say, 10 financial advisors, and now all of a sudden you have 100 and you have, 5 offices or 6 offices, it's a monumental leap in organizational skills to be able to handle that. So by being in the branch with them, and I'm there the whole day, I have a really good feel for, what's happening. And then the other meetings, I bring them to my office. I live in Miami, Florida, and I have a Regis office that I rent and use that for doing things with them that I can't do in their office. So like I videotape them. I want to see them. I want them to see how good are they on their feet. Are they a good public speaker? And obviously I can't do that when I'm visiting them. And then I do lots of role plays, client complaints. How do you handle those? What about manager complaints? How do you handle those? And I have a lot of vignettes that I put them through. I do a lot of leadership training in my office in Miami. I think I have every Harvard Business Review that has anything to do with financial services over the last 30 years. I've got it, and I've kept it. And I've highlighted articles that I think are relevant to a person that's in this role that they think that some people are doing that they could copy. So it's sort of a year of focused training, 1 day a month, half in their office, half in my office.
What do you find is and I know this will change, right, from office to office, obviously from company to company, culture to culture, but what do you find is like one of the common themes or two that kind of when you get in there and you start to do your observations, what's one of the common themes that arise in terms of opportunity areas?
Well, the number one thing that'll trip up a person in the role is lack of organization. So if you can't touch your managers, if you're not going to see the people, you find that you're can't get out of your office, you got so much to do, you don't have scheduled calls with your other managers, so they don't hear from you. This lack of organization and touches, you got to touch everybody. Everybody wants to feel they're important. And it's your job to be the one to do that. And if you're not organized enough to touch everybody, that's going to probably create some problems for you down the road. So that, without any question, is one of the primary things I'm looking for. Are they organized?
And so now, after let's say that you're going in there and you're starting to implement these changes, and the year's up. Let's say, what kind of feedback have you received in the past, maybe from some of the clients? You don't have to give any names or anything like that, but I'm just trying to get an idea for when somebody comes out the other side, so to speak.
Yeah, I think the types of comments I've received are, I didn't realize there was so much to do. I didn't realize how much I had to do to touch everybody. And I think the average manager goes, well, okay, I had 10 FAs and I got promoted, and I have 50, I'll just do it 5 times as hard. And it's not like that. And you don't have to do everything you did when you had 10 people. I mean, you can walk around your office if you have 10 people and talk to them all. And that's good leadership. Nothing wrong with that. But when you got them in, 5 different cities, that you got to figure out how you're going to get out there, how you're going to touch them, what are you going to say to them? And you need to keep files on people. You can imagine if you have 300 financial advisors in 5 offices, and so you got 5 managers. How do you keep all that straight when you're talking to them? So creating digital files, taking notes when you're, on the phone with them or in person, is super important to keeping yourself so you're on top of your game. And I think most people that I work with don't realize that You can be really, really good at leading if you just get your system so that it's organized and everything will follow suit. But you got to be organized to do that. And I think, what most of the people say to me when it's done is they didn't realize that they could create process. And process is a really important word when you lead. Processes are what keep you focused on doing this the right way. Do I go see every office manager once a month? Maybe you have to. Maybe some of your offices are smaller than others. So this manager gets to see me once a month, and this manager's only going to see me, once every 3 weeks because his office is smaller. He doesn't need to see me as much. But the point is that all of these things that you have to do, you got to get them in a process and get them so that you're doing them consistently, and then it flows a lot better, the job does. And I think most of them appreciate that and kind of got their head wrapped around, okay, I got to get this a little more wrapped up. I guess another way to say it, and I don't mean this in any way a harsh way, but a lot of people that get these jobs think they can kind of wing it. They think, okay, well, I got the job. That's one feather in their cap, which it is. And, I managed 20 people in my office, and it worked. So now I'll manage 50. But they don't think about what they're going to be doing different. And if they don't think about that, they'll get tripped up.
No, that's great. Well, David, I have to tell you, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today and learning more about your business and what you're doing at Leadership Concepts to help your clients succeed and thrive, really, which is a big deal because, as you mentioned, many are responsible for thousands of lives in terms of their financial planning and management. So that being said, if somebody is listening to this right now and they want to learn more about Leadership Concepts, what's the best way for them to follow up and to connect with you and your team?
Well, the best way to do it is just go to my website. So it's leadershipconceptsllc.com, and that explains everything that the company does. And so basically it's what we just went through, but there's a couple of other functions that we perform. But if you go to leadershipconceptsllc.com, it'll give you my contact information and tell you everything about the company.
Fantastic. Well, David, again, thank you for coming on the show today. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We definitely want you to be a return listener and a return visitor. And David, thanks again for coming. So it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, glad to talk to you, Adam. Take care.